Hi everyone, Justin Bennett here with Daily Price Action, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about the British pound versus the Canadian dollar, and what about this price action that made me think the pair was going to move higher last week when it was trading here, and also what about the GBPCAD that makes me think this pair could be going another 250 pips higher. Let's find out right now. All right, everyone, before we get started, be sure to hit that subscribe button below so you get notified every time I post these videos. Now, with that, let's get into the British pound versus the Canadian dollar. Now, what happened last week is we had this inverse head and shoulders that I wrote about on the blog. And if you'll remember, the left shoulder was back here, the head was here, and the right shoulder was this candle right here, which actually formed a bullish pin bar. So what I wrote about and actually mentioned in my video on Sunday was that this 164.30 level, so these highs, would act as support this week. That was the likely scenario. And as you can see, today's low so far is 164.15. And you'll notice that the pair has bounced over 100 pips already today. So far, so good. So where is the GBPCAD going from here? Well, if you remember from my post last week and Sunday's video, I mentioned that this 166 handle is going to act as resistance. And the reason for that is, notice all of these lows back between August and October of last year. So this 166 level is serving as resistance, hence this week's gap down. So notice that on Friday of last week, we did test 166, and I said in Sunday's video that you probably don't want to buy the pound CAD up here because this is resistance. And notice we actually gapped down to here, and yesterday formed this inside day. However, again, we are bouncing from that 164.30 level so far today. So the first level to keep an eye on is going to be 166. And I'm going to go ahead and draw in 164.30 as well, so we have it on the chart. Now, as for the measured objective here, the way that you find a measured objective with an inverse head and shoulders is you simply take the height of the pattern, so measure from the bottom to the neckline, and it's approximately 500 pips. So if we then take that same distance and measure from the breakout point, which was Friday, so from down here, 500 pips gives us approximately 16800. All right, so if we put that on our chart, so there's 16800. Notice that we do have some lows through this area as well as a high. Now it did close above it here, but this does look like a relatively significant area. Also notice the distance between these two levels. So I often mention when you're drawing horizontal levels, one way you'll know you did it right, or at least relatively accurate, is that these levels will be fairly evenly spaced apart. So from this 166 to 164.30, it's about 160 pips, and then up to the 168, it's about 210 pips. So not exact, but they're pretty close. And if the pair does get through 168, because remember, an objective is just kind of an area that is likely to be reached for a pattern like this inverse head and shoulders. But that does not mean that this is going to be the end, the end of this rally. So for all we know, the pound CAD could continue, break above 166, head up to 168, break that, and then move higher. So where is this thing going if 168 breaks? And I personally think that the level up in this region, so right around 169.60 or so, that's one that you're going to want to keep an eye on because we have this low and this high. So right now, essentially what I'm looking for is I want to see this 164.30 level hold as support as it's doing today. So see this hold as support. If we get a daily close above 166, I want to see this hold as support. And if it does, we could see a move up here to the objective at 168. Alternatively, if the British pound against the Canadian dollar closes back below 164.30, so if we get a daily close below this level, then this neckline back here is going to be exposed. Now, if we retrace all of Friday's move, so this huge candle back here, if we were to retrace this entire thing, that in my opinion would be a sign of weakness. So I don't think I'd want to buy back here if we retrace all of Friday's move because it was so massive. I mean, this move on Friday was over 300 pips. So if we see the pound versus the Canadian dollar move all the way back into this region and give up all of these gains, that is not a good sign for buyers. I want to see a nice stair-step pattern. So notice that we're starting to carve these higher lows and higher highs. So higher low, and now we have a higher high. So I want to see this thing continue to carve these higher lows and not start to come back down here and re-challenge these highs back here. I want to see this nice stair-step pattern continue and move higher. So that next level is going to be 166. Break that, we could see 168 objective. But again, there's no guarantee that that's going to happen. And if we do close below 164.30, then I do think the pair is headed lower back toward this neckline support. If you like this video, give it a like and be sure to subscribe to my channel so you get notified every time I post videos just like this one today.